store-bought versus certified. We have grown a ton of food over the last couple of years in these 4 blue food safe containers, and this year we're going to see if we can go even bigger. Guten gardening, everybody! Growing your own food successfully often starts with a good seed, or in this case a good seed potato, and we've had a question for quite some time. Would we get better results planting our certified seed potatoes or potatoes that we grow from the store? And so today we're going to plant some Yukon Gold seed potatoes, and we're going to try to plant the same amount of each in these 4 half 50-gallon plastic containers. Now, if you're not new to our channel, it's possible you saw last year we grew some purple Magic Molly potatoes in these same plastic containers. We put about 7 to 8 seed potatoes in each of these, and our harvest out of, I would say, about 23 square feet was over 40 pounds of potatoes. It was fantastic. And so what we want to do is to try to replicate that process, albeit with a different variety. These are Yukon Gold potatoes that we're going to try to grow. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the Yukon Gold potatoes. I'll talk to you a little bit about the difference between the certified seed potato and the store-bought, and then within about 3 months we should be able to see how they compare to each other. All right, first let's talk container and medium. These are, again, half of 50-gallon food safe plastic containers. They used to contain vinegar. We bought them for $10 a piece off of a local guy here who collects them from restaurants, and we just cut them in half. So if we're looking at depth, we have about 10 inches of depth here total possible, and so most of this is going to be growing at about 7 or so inches of depth. Now the medium we're growing this in is a mixture of cocoa cure, peat moss, and we just added some more of our Purple Cow organic compost. You can also see in here there's a little bit of vermiculite and perlite. That is our basic medium. It's nice and loose and lightweight soil. It holds moisture well, but it also drains well. I've added to this some of our garden tone. That's the fertilizer that we've been using this year. And I've added some azomite. That's our trace minerals. And so this is really nicely set up for planting. Now, as I mentioned, our purple Magic Molly potatoes did really well last year. And so we're going to replicate the planting process as best we can. We are adding some mykos mycorrhizae, which is something we use for all of our root vegetables to help them get a good start. If you've never used a mycorrhizae before, basically what you're trying to do is to strengthen the roots and strengthen their ability to increase their uptake in nutrients. So this helps get these off to a great start. And of course, we'll be adding our bone meal. Now in the past we've used Job's bone meal, which doesn't have as much phosphorus as this Earth Science version does, but unfortunately we couldn't find any locally. And that being said, this has a really high percentage of phosphorus, and so we're going to add this as well. And bone meal really helps with our root crops as well. So I don't think there's a single root crop that we grow where we don't add some bone meal. Now I'm going to walk you through our planting process, but first let me talk to you a little bit about the difference between a certified seed potato and one we've got from the store. All right, first let's talk about our certified Yukon Gold seed potatoes. Now we ordered 4 pounds of these from Gurney's, and you can see the seed potatoes themselves are in pretty good shape in terms of the eyes that are sprouted out here. They've chitted quite nicely. Typically when it comes to planting, we're looking for about a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch in terms of the chitting, and that's what we have for most of these. These are ready and waiting to go into our containers. Now the reason you would get a certified seed potato versus say a store-bought is because they are certified to be disease-free, which is not something you get guaranteed from the ones that you would get at the store. These certified seed potatoes are also guaranteed to give you exactly what you're trying to grow, which is the Yukon Gold potatoes. Remember, if you try to grow potatoes from, say, potato seeds, you're likely to not get the exact same thing as the parent plant that you harvested those seeds from. And so when we're using certified potatoes, we're guaranteed that what grows out of this is going to be, again, the Yukon Golds that we're looking for. Now, in terms of the quality of these, they were shipped to us from Gurney's. They look to be in pretty good shape, and I'm expecting them to perform well. You know, the size of these, they're all about 3 ounces, I would say. We decided not to cut these, although I would say for some of them like this one, we could definitely cut this in half and we'd be just fine. But we're gonna plant these all whole. Again, 7 to 8 per container. Now, in terms of our store-bought seed potatoes, we don't have any of those same guarantees in terms of what the certification offers. Instead, what we're guaranteed is that these are organic potatoes, which means that they should still sprout nicely, although some people tell me that they can also grow from non-organic potatoes as well. We just haven't tried that. But you'll notice we've had these for about 3 weeks trying to get them to chit, and we've only got on most of them about 1/4 of an inch, maybe on some of them 1/2 an inch of chitting that's happened. But we need to get these in the ground, so we're gonna plant them anyway. You can see that these are definitely bigger, and so we could cut these in half if we had enough eyes on them. We actually bought about 5 pounds of these and about 4 pounds of our certified seed potato variety. All right, so we've got 1/2 dozen of our store-bought in the 2 store-bought bins, and I'm putting in 8 in each of the bins for our certified seed potatoes. So you can see them all laid out like this. Now I realize that means we still have some of our certified seed potatoes left over, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a weight on each of these. So you're gonna know exactly how much I've put in each one of these by weight, and then we're gonna see that response. That way we can make sure that we're having apples to apples or potatoes to potatoes comparisons. All right, I want to get these planted as quickly as possible. Let's get this process started. So normally, if we were planting in ground, I'd like to be 6 or 7 inches down, but we don't have that much depth here. So I'm going to dig down into the soil with my hand about 5 inches, 4 to 5 inches. And I'm going to get these down here. But before I do that, I'm going to take a teaspoon of our bone meal, get that down in the bottom of the hole. Again, I'm trying to replicate the process that we had so much success with our magic mollies. And then I'm going to take 1/2 teaspoon of our mycorrhizae and put it in there as well. And then what I like to do is just sprinkle a little bit here, even though I don't really think this is going to burn the potatoes. I want to sprinkle a little bit just to create a barrier, a little bit of soil over top. We put the potato in, and I always try to keep the eye, the part that's chitted, I always try to keep that up, and then we're gonna bury it, just like so. Now, typically we'd like to give about 1 foot of space in between each one of these, but we don't have that luxury in this smaller space. And we didn't have any problem going this close last year with our magic mollies, so we're looking probably about 7 to 8 inches of spacing in between each of these instead. But I'm going to go ahead, complete the same process as I just did, and get these potatoes planted, and I'll talk to you at the end. As I'm wrapping up this particular bin, one thing I do want to mention is these are Yukon Golds, and they are a determinate variety of potato, which we think makes them a good variety or a good choice to grow in containers because you have a limited depth here, and so you don't have to worry about mounding so much. You don't really have to worry about them outgrowing the space that you have. That's one of the reasons why I think the magic molly grew so well in here as well. They were a determinate variety. So these should be ready to harvest within about 85 to 100 days. Remember, the determinate potatoes are typically ready to be harvested faster than the indeterminate varieties. All right, this is the last one going in. I've got them all planted. Now, one thing I didn't mention earlier is the reason we're planting and trying this here is because these 4 containers get equal sunlight, and we're trying to do this in matching growing conditions as best we can. I really would like to know in the comments what you think, or which you think is going to perform better than the other one. Well, folks, we love a good garden experiment here, and I am super excited to see what the results are going to be for this one. Now, as we're doing our garden tours over the summer, we'll make sure to check in on this and see how they're performing. And in about 90 days, we should be able to let you know exactly how it turned out. Well, we hope you enjoyed today's video and found it useful and are excited like we are for this upcoming potato harvest. If you did enjoy today's video, don't forget to give us a like, leave us a comment, remember to share and subscribe. And most importantly, remember, when you're with us, you are good to grow.